Imagine being just 24, unknown, untested, and suddenly handed the chance to save a revolution. That was Napoleon at Toulon, 1793. A young Corsican outsider, mocked by many, yet destined to reshape Europe. But first, he had to prove himself. Toulon, a glittering port on France's southern coast, guarded by high walls, powerful forts, and one of the best harbors in Europe. But in 1793, Toulon wasn't loyal to France's new republic. It betrayed it, siding with France's greatest enemy, the British. Yes, you heard that right. A French city inviting British warships into its harbor. Like Boston in the Revolution, asking the Redcoats back, the British fleet arrived, joined by Spanish, Neapolitan, and Sardinian allies. Overnight, Toulon became a fortress bristling with foreign guns. To the French revolutionaries, it was treason of the highest order. Losing Toulon meant losing the Mediterranean and possibly the revolution itself. So Paris sent army after army south, but attacks failed. Soldiers deserted, generals bickered, the Republic's grip was slipping, and in walked Napoleon Bonaparte, just a captain of artillery, with little more than ambition, confidence, and a dangerous idea. He studied the maps, he walked the lines, and in minutes, he saw what older generals had missed. Don't smash your army against the city walls. Strike the forts, cut the harbor, choke the enemy fleet. A surgeon's cut, not a butcher's strike. Simple? Yes. Brilliant? Absolutely. But imagine being 24, telling older commanders they were fighting the wrong war. They sneered at him. This Corsican thinks he's a genius? Napoleon's reply? We'll see who laughs last. Finally, he was given artillery command. Just cannons, men, and time. And time was running out fast, because inside Toulon, panic brewed. Royalists feared execution if the Republicans broke through. Families rushed to the harbor, praying for escape. Ships were loaded with possessions, children, jewelry. The British promised protection, but could they really save everyone? The stage was set, a starving republic outside the walls, terrified civilians inside, and Napoleon sharpening his plan. But here's where things take a dark turn. Because Napoleon's plan would bring victory, but also blood, fire, and terror. Napoleon began with discipline. He reorganized battered batteries, moved cannons by night, and placed them with deadly precision. Every shot mattered. No random firing. Each cannonball had a purpose, aimed at strangling the enemy fleet. And the results? Explosive. Ships began to take hits. Forts rattled. The Allies realized they weren't fighting amateurs anymore. Still, battles raged. French assaults failed. Soldiers fled in panic. At one point, Napoleon even threatened to fire his cannons at deserters. Yes, you heard that right. He was willing to kill his own men to stop them running. Ruthless? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. And slowly, morale shifted. Soldiers whispered, "This Bonaparte knows what he's doing." Respect replaced doubt. In December, his strategy climaxed. Capture Fort Mulgrave, the key to the harbor. Without it, the British fleet was trapped. The assault began at night. Cannons thundered, drums rolled, and French troops charged the ramparts. The defenders fought savagely. Grape shot tore through French lines. Men fell screaming into the trenches. Napoleon himself rushed to direct the cannons. A bayonet strike pierced his thigh, but he refused to leave. He fought on, limping, shouting orders. His men saw it, and they followed him with fury. And then, the breakthrough. French soldiers swarmed the fort, raising the tricolor flag in the smoky night. The harbor was now in French hands. Napoleon's artillery rained fire down on the ships below. The British saw the trap closing. Their fleet risked total destruction. So, in desperation, they set Toulon's arsenal ablaze, burning French ships, warehouses, entire docks. The night sky turned red. Explosions lit the harbor. Civilians screamed. Soldiers fled. Chaos reigned. Those who escaped clung to British ships, but thousands Yes, thousands were left behind. When the French Republican Army marched in, the bloodshed began. Royalist sympathizers were hunted, accused, executed. It was a massacre. History records thousands slaughtered in the streets, their only crime, supporting the wrong side. Toulon was free, but at a terrible price. Fire, blood, and fear scarred the city for decades. And in the center of it all, Napoleon, promoted on the spot to brigadier general. Think about it. In just weeks, he went from obscure artillery officer to national hero. Word spread like wildfire. A new name echoed in Paris, Bonaparte, and people whispered, this man could be the future. But here's the chilling thought. Did Toulon save the Republic or unleash its greatest threat? Because the same man who defended France would one day dismantle it, replacing liberty with empire. And Toulon was the first brick in that empire's foundation. So ask yourself, was Toulon a victory or the start of a new tyranny? Would you have trusted Napoleon after Toulon or feared him? Because this was only Act 1 of his story. From Toulon, Napoleon would rise to Italy, Egypt, and eventually the throne of Europe itself. The rise begins with a first step. Toulon was his. Napoleon walked out of Toulon not just as a soldier, but as a symbol. Newspapers in Paris called him a genius. One battle, one victory, and a young man barely out of his 20s was suddenly a household name. But fame in revolutionary France was dangerous. One day, you're a savior. The next, you're branded a traitor. Napoleon knew this. He had seen heads roll under the guillotine. Staying alive meant staying useful and feared, and Toulon gave him both. To his enemies, he was the upstart Corsican. To his allies, the Republic's miracle. Yet, whispers began. Was Bonaparte ambitious for France or only for himself? He was no fool. He wrote letters to Paris, boasting of his genius. He made sure his name was inked into history. In politics, perception is power. And Toulon gave him the image of a man who could win when others failed. But here's the unsettling truth. Toulon didn't just save a revolution. It planted the seed of dictatorship because the people now craved strong leaders, not assemblies. They wanted results, not debates. Napoleon fit that craving perfectly. Decisive, fearless, and hungry for more. Within months, he was handed new commands. His career snowballed faster than anyone imagined. First Italy, then the Alps. Campaigns where he proved Toulon wasn't luck, but genius. And every victory sharpened his ambition. Each battlefield was a stepping stone to greater power. Ask yourself, what happens when a young man who's tasted glory refuses to stop climbing? It's like handing fire to someone who dreams of reshaping the world in his own image. And history shows us, fire spreads fast. The Republic thought it had found a savior. It may have unleashed a storm. From Toulon's ashes, Napoleon rose higher and higher. Until one day, he wasn't the Republic's servant. He was its master. The irony? The very revolution that gave him his start, he would one day bury beneath a crown. And Toulon? It became the first chapter in that paradox, freedom giving birth to empire. So, should we remember Toulon as a victory? Or as the first warning sign? History rarely gives neat answers, but it does give lessons about ambition, power, and the dangers of crisis. Because desperate nations don't just need leaders, they create them. And sometimes, those leaders become monsters. Napoleon wasn't a monster yet. At Toulon, he was still the young genius who saved the day. But fate was already writing a darker script. And the question hangs. Did France win at Toulon or lose something far greater? If you want to keep uncovering the hidden turns of history, subscribe now.